Thank you. And again, I want to thank the witnesses. We've had a chance to read your testimony. Very helpful. Dr. Asher, for a while there with the Lebanese Canadian Bank, we had great success using Section 311 sanctions, identifying them as, primary money laundering concerns. And it was not just us, it was the financial community that saw them as toxic, and everybody backed away. So it basically shut them out of the legitimate, banking system, especially the United States. Would this work if we expanded 311 to go after, say, the auto dealers in Benin or West Africa that are operating? If we continue to use that 311 type mechanism, would that be enough to choke off some of this funding?
Yeah, in my written testimony, I recommend that we need to look at imposing Section 311 against the actual nation of Benin. It can be done. It's a very extreme measure. I would propose it as a very temporary measure. I don't want to obliterate the economy of a West African state that's growing very fast. But their fastest growing area is used cars coming from the United States that are going to provide material support for a terrorist organization. So, right. Of course we should be, we have Section 311, which is a regulation, okay, and it can be lifted very easily. To protect our nation's financial system against money laundering. There's most definitely massive money laundering going on here. And most definitely it's going to a terrorist organization. Right. And moreover, it's going to the military wing, we believe, of the terrorist organization, the one that has killed hundreds of American citizens in the past and is engaged in activities against our interests right now in the Middle East. We don't have these laws in the books for nothing. Now, but I do believe an enforcement approach is also critical. We can't just impose sanctions and penalties and force the banks to be the enforcers of the law. We really need law enforcement to get into gear and to build financial cases against these complex conspiracies. They're very complicated. They're very hard to prosecute, but they can be done. So I support a hybrid approach. But at the end of the day,
let me stop you there. I have another question. I don't want to use all my time. We've got a problem coming up, which is the agreement that the administration is trying to pursue with Iran. We have sanctions against Iran and a number of banks that had previously worked with them on non-proliferation issues, and those are major sanctions. The Iran Sanction Act, the Iran-Syrian Sanction Act, and the President is negotiating taking away those sanctions, dropping those sanctions, in return for assurances and verification that Iran is no longer pursuing a military, not actively pursuing a military, nuclear program. On the other hand, we also have a whole set of sanctions that are based on the work that you've been doing, which is Iran has also been financing Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad. According to Juan Zarate's book, they even gave money to Al-Qaeda. So those activities, if we're to drop the sanctions and allow their economy to grow, what's to stop them from continuing that activity with respect to some of the work that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard is perpetrating, which is directly supportive of some of this, illicit activity, the criminal activity that's happening in so many other countries?
Moral and human outrage if those laws are rescinded. Yeah. Okay, at the end of the day, the terrorism record stands. For those of us that worked in the war in Iraq, we had more involvement in EFP and other IED-related attacks from Iran than certainly any other nation state. I was the senior advisor to the United States government for the six-party talks with North Korea. I know what multilateral nuclear diplomacy looks like. I also worked on the dark side to go after their finances in North Korea. I understand, we have to have a hybrid approach sometimes in nuclear counterproliferation, but on terrorism, we have to draw the line.
Right, and so it's your understanding that those sanctions, 311, things like that, that are targeted towards the criminal activity that have been enforced by banks. These banks don't want to do business with any bank that's doing business with Iran because of the criminal activity. Those should remain, right? Those should not be part of the
terrorism record stands.
Right, okay.